There we go. I don't know if a single person on Earth has ever put forward the notion that an animal has or could do what would be generalized as the term evil. Have you ever heard somebody say an animal could do evil? Could do evil? I don't think so. I mean, somebody might be grossed out by like one animal eating another, but that is, of course, natural order. I mean, are we any denial about that? So what is it that distinguishes human beings, and we're obviously talking about much more intelligent. Now, we could take some really intelligent creatures like certain parrots and whales and other intelligent life forms. Are obviously not as intelligent as humans, but even then they follow natural order. I don't know of any of them that do evil. The ancient metaphysical passage, which is a truism, is that the self is at war with what is not the self. And of course, all forms of monistic metaphysics speak of two different selves. The existential persona non grata, i.e. the psychophysical, that which you see in the mirror, and the actual transcendent self. In my nearly perfect, but not totally perfect, radio analogy, that of course would be the distinction between the radio and the broadcast, which is really one thing. Really two, but we speak about it as one thing, versus the signal. So everybody, of course, when it comes to discussion of evil, and this is about the metaphysics of evil, and I'm not interested in, really talking about evil. However, we could approach it, which is what I'm doing here, in a very simple, straightforward fashion, talk about the metaphysics of evil. Unfortunately, everybody is greatly occluded in their mind when it comes to evil, because you've watched so many, horrible movies that, we have ideas of evil, and we think of really evil people that have done very, very evil things, and of course they are evil. There's no denying this. And you say, well, this was to blame. This person was born with a messed up head, and I'm actually not going to get into arguing that. There are many contributing factors. Fundamentally, however, evil has one simple premise, and I'd like to talk about that here. And also, too, as a prequel to discussing what is the metaphysical nature of evil, it is the case that all forms of logical and wise monistic metaphysics say the same thing, and that is that evil is excess. It is also true, I'll just make a reference here, that all religions, and I'm never ever interested in discussing religions, are secularized metaphysics. They're little bits and pieces taken from early metaphysics and incorporated into various religions. But even in Revelations, it doesn't say, some words are numbers, sorry about that. And when you actually say out certain numbers, they're actually a single word. Like 666, for example, it says the number of man. The nature of man is excess and materialism, but when you actually say it in the Greek, the word is excessius, and in Latin it is excessius. In English, it's nearly the same word, excess. All ancient metaphysics say the same thing. Excess, i.e. the desire or will towards excess, which is, of course, metaphysical materialism, is evil. Evil is excess, and excess is evil. That's not my idea or something I came up with. Yeah, it's both logical and something they all agree upon. So what it actually says is that number is actually a word, by the way. Doesn't say in 666 is not important. It says a word when you say that specific number. I think people would find that interesting, so I mentioned it in passing about that. So we should, as wise or people that are in love with natural order, not conventional love, but true love. You say agape love doesn't want to get into any sort of religious lexicon, but we shun those that shun natural order. Any human being natively, if we take really hyper innocent people, that they're not jaded, one way or the other, they will, shun natural order. And it is natural order for human beings to shun and reject those who don't follow natural order. In the stream analogy, I'd like to make one. It's kind of an ancient one. I expand upon it a little further, that, those that live a normal life, somebody gets married, works hard, has kids, gets old, and, has a nice dog. People that lead a simple, straightforward life like that. I mean, these people are in the stream of existence. And by the way, existence literally means to be outside of yourself. Existence, which you're living a puppet, and we all think we're the puppet, but we're not. That thing you see in the mirror in the bathroom is not who you are. The most repeated passage in ancient Pali is isa kaya name sata. The body, i.e. the psychophysical, is not the soul. So we're all jaded by that creature. We are not that. But anyway, the people live a simple life in our stream analogy of existence, or becoming, or bhava nubhava. Not that you understand what I said there in Pali, which means becoming and rebecoming. Flow in the stream. This says that some people say, well, dead things go downstream and living things go upstream. That's not really a true analogy. But anyway, people that live a simple life of natural order, they go with the flow of the stream. And of course, everything that goes downstream in our perfect analogy of existence gets recycled, obviously so. So these are people that don't go against the stream of natural order. There are rare, super rare actually, especially these days, rare few that rise above the waters and travel back to the source. And they seek refuge in the source because they themselves are also too the source. There's an old Pali term for that. It's called Udam Soto. Udam Soto means having gone upstream. Uda and Soto, stream. So someone who's an upstreamer. People that realize that at the end of the river of becoming, there's a waterfall. You go over and you kick the bucket, and everything gets recycled. It's like that's the perpetual bhava nubhava, or becoming and rebecoming, is infinitely less than ideal. And I'm going to be someone that rises above the waters or the flow, but you're not going against a natural order, nor are you going against the stream. You're actually flowing inverse to the flow of the stream, but you're actually still in a perfect harmony with absolute harmony in the most true sense of natural order. So you can't actually go up against the stream and still be following natural order. That's the final conclusion of a transcendence and liberation. The disembodied beings. Like I said, when we're talking about evil, everybody really has a crazy idea in their head. When we say evil, we'll think about some horrible person did something horrible in history, or somebody you met in life. But I'm interested in getting into the metaphysics of evil. So disembodied beings who are not in life, the waters of life, what they've done is, in our analogy of the stream of existence, they've settled to the bottom, and they suffer as they watch the waters and people flow past. They're fixated. They refuse to, get recycled, and they have no idea how to go upstream. They're literally, as a kind of perfect analogy, they're like rocks at the bottom of the stream. They just keep watching things pass by, and they are, by definition, in a limbo of hell. Those that willfully fight the waters, they actually exert their willpower and create a wake. These are, of course, evildoers. They reject natural order. They stand firm, and they use every ounce of their will, both living will and the will that's within the living entity, or the will of the disembodied being. The will, or the nous, or the citta, regardless of the language, is the same. It doesn't matter if someone is alive or dead. The reflexive fight against natural order. And these people are, of course, evil. They not only wreak havoc for themselves, really wreak havoc. They are genuine. We call them a demon because they are suffering in their own prison of hell, but they also create wake around them, and they enjoy this. A demon specifically, metaphysically, and collectively heaping up various ancient sources. We're not talking about religions here, okay? So-and-so, the ruler of all that's evil. We're not talking about that kind of stuff. A demon is one who knows the wrath and the ruin of the fight against natural order and is perversely addicted to the fight and to the ruin and the decimation. Kind of like a pyromaniac, who gets enormous enjoyment out of watching stuff burn that they burned. A demon in ignorance, which is magnified ignorance, not primordial ignorance like a dumb child who does something very wrong. They just don't know any better. A demon thinks nothing is good. There is no good, because in knowing the truth that all phenomena are fleeting and passing, and a cause for suffering is actually the attachment to those fleeting things. They are right in believing and understanding this, but their conclusions and therefore their actions also too is what makes them evil. He or she, whatever that entity be, is in a mission to ruin all and lay waste to all that is by its nature ruin and is of course fleeting. So in their own horrific delusions, and they are evil. They are demonic. We could say the word demonic. The word is just a word. It doesn't mean anything. Rose by any name smells the sweet, right? They attack that which they know is ruin by its very nature, i.e. phenomena, and those that are attached to phenomena. And that phenomena also includes the psychophysical, attacking others, making ruin and waste for themselves, but also too doing the same for others. Like, well, all of this stuff is ruin and waste. So yeah, but people in their primordial ignorance are still attached. And what you do is you create suffering, great suffering, depending on what is done and done by who or how many. And we call these people, of course, evil. They go against natural order. They not only create a hell for themselves, but they also, too, in the great magnification of their evil and ignorance. And evil is just the fruit of ignorance. We start out with primordial agnosis, not conventional ignorance of the psychophysical kind, primordial agnosis and magnified a million times into a sentient being who wills destruction and ruin upon self and others. So this is what evil is. A demon or a truly evil person willfully rejects natural order and fights in vain with strong self-willpower towards same. So I wanted to mention something about like a younger individual who's fundamentally ignorant and might do something evil, but it is not willed. You could have two identical types of horrible things done. One might be done by, say, an innocent young person. They just are ignorant. They don't have the intent. And people can't read other people's minds. So they do something evil, what we conventionally call evil, but they're forgiven in a certain sense. They just didn't know any better, that is not natural order. And the complexity of human minds, which are, of course, very complex. We create things that are against natural order. We actually generate thoughts and ideas which are totally against natural order. And you might have the exact same act done by somebody who does know better. It's like, well, this child did the same thing as this evil person. They both did the same horrible thing, but this person knows better and this person is just ignorant. So if we talk about two horrible acts, for example, whatever that horrible act may be, this person is just fundamentally ignorant. Let's say a young person, for example, and this person is evil. Well, what is the distinction if both acts are identical? The distinction is that this person knows right from wrong, but specifically, what does that mean? It means that that individual, that entity, whether they be alive or not, because evil done has nothing to do with living beings necessitatively. Plenty of living beings do evil things. Obviously, disembodied beings that do and generate evil things, but of course we call them a demon, but they know what natural order is. A demon does fundamentally, just as every living creature and sentient entity knows what natural order is. Like I said, no animal's ever done an evil deed or fights against natural order. Sentient beings who become compoundly intelligent, they generate a new source, which of course flies off the tracks quite often against natural order. So this person or entity knows better, yet does it anyway. They are fighting natural order and they are causing ruin, whether it be localized to themselves or ruin amongst many others. They are, of course, doing evil. So there's the distinction between two identical individuals that do the exact same thing, but one is just fundamentally ignorant only, and the other one is actually generating evil against natural order because they do know better. This is the reason why I've said so many times the greatest evils ever done by living beings have always been done by people that are highly intelligent and yet have no wisdom. The most dangerous individual this earth has ever seen, and there have been many of them, highly intelligent yet unwise. There is an extreme danger because, like, dumb people, they could do horrible things accidentally. They're dumb. But they're never capable of great evil. Great evil always comes from intelligent entities. And when I say entity, I don't mean necessarily living or dead, i.e. disembodied being. It doesn't have to be a living person or a disembodied being. They're highly intelligent, and that intelligence precludes and occludes natural order and what should and should not be done. That is why great evil is always done by highly intelligent entities. Always. One shouldn't take that too deeply or too literally, but it is the case. That's not saying I'm advocating stupidity, but there is a great danger of being highly intelligent. If you don't temper that with wisdom, being very intelligent and unwise is absolutely the most dangerous recipe of any sentient entity. Period. Bar none. That's not up for debate. So anyway, people asked me to make a video on the metaphysics of evil, and there you have it, kind of in a nutshell. I mean, you could talk about this topic endlessly, so I could anyway. I'd rather not, actually, but it's 1,000 other things more important that I could talk about, but people did ask me to make the video, so thank you so much for watching, okay? Goodbye.